Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Umineko When They Cry, episode 4. We are on a boat. We are actually, well, we're eventually going to be headed towards Rokkenjima, but I think we're headed to the nearby coastal town or whatever. They were talking about it in the end of the previous video, but Ange is still searching for something, you know? Try to make herself feel okay with whatever she can find out of a truth. Whatever her truth will be, whatever the overall truth will be, she is still searching. So that's sort of where we are in the timeline. Maybe, kinda. I don't really know where we are in the timeline here. And Mamon is with us. I noticed that Mamon had suddenly appeared, her abundant hair fluttering over by the prow of the ship.
強欲な人生は確かに楽しいわ。でも、あなたと違って人間には寿命がある。永遠に強欲のままだったなら、人は死ぬ最後の瞬間にも欲があることになる。欲があるということはつまり、欲しいということ、持っていないということ、満たされていないということ。自分が満たされていると思えないまま死ぬのは、きっと辛いことよ。だからきっと、自己満足って必要なんだわ。
なるほど。寿命ある存在にはそういう妥協点も必要ってことですか。私たちの主はやたらと寿命の長いお方ばかりだったんで考えたこともなかったです。
Yeah, self-satisfaction is sort of the topic here.
人間ってのは満たされるために生きてるのかしら。だとしたら無欲が一番人生に優しいことになるわ。なるほど。7つの大罪の一つが強欲になるのも納得ね。
お褒めに預かり光栄です。
Apparently that counted as a compliment in Mamon's eyes. She turned and gave a graceful bow.
エンジ様、人間は死の瞬間に満足であるために生きてるんですか？
死の瞬間に何かが満たされていないのはきっと辛いんじゃない？
だとしたら人間は満足な死を迎えるためだけに生きてるわけですね。
I mean, maybe?
より良い死のために生きてる。
The thing is that, like, humans always want to be satisfied throughout their life. Of course, they don't want to go out, you know, without satisfaction.
死ぬために生きてる。
But they also want it during their lives. Or else I would argue that you're just kind of stuck, you know, wondering, questioning, and searching. This kid's saying something pretty incredible. I see, as I'd expect from a demon stake. However, it might be the truth. Humans suffer because they aren't satisfied and live only to find satisfaction. In other words, that might be the same as a desire to die satisfied.
言い返せないわ。人は満たされるために生きてる。そして満たされたまま死にたいと願ってる。だからその満たされ方がわからないのはとても辛いことだわ。
どうやれば満たされるんです？人間の人生は。
認めてもらうことよ。お前は幸せだってね。
誰が認めてもいいものでしたら私が認めてあげますよ。
I mean, it kind of matters.
そうよ。そこなのよ。誰に認めてもらえばいいのかわからないのよ、人。
その認めてくれる人を探すのが人生の旅なんですか。へえ。
おかしな話ね。認めてもらおうと認めてもらわなかろうと自分の境遇に変化はないはずにもかかわらず、認められれば満たされ、認められないから満たされない。まるで青い鳥だわ。カゴの中にもう青い鳥はいるのに、それに気づけないからどこまでも探しに旅立たなければならない。
何ですかそれ。人間の人生ってバカですね。
Yeah.
そうね。
Slightly.
天草は本当にいいことを言ったわ。我ただ樽を知るか。何のことわざか知らないけど味わい深いわ。つまるところ、誰かに認めてもらわなければ満ち足りないとは、すなわち自らを認められないということ。究極の自己実現はまず自分を自分で認めることだったのよ。
そりゃそうです。自分が満ち足りてるって自覚できるなら誰にも認めてもらう必要なんかないですから。その小さなことに気づくだけで 人間のくだらない人生の旅は簡単に終了ですね。残った時間を有意義に遊んで過ごせます。人間の人生ってバカバカしい。
Also true. Mamon's choice of words was bad, but it was surely the truth. If most of a human's life is a journey with the hopes that someone will acknowledge them so that they can achieve a satisfied death, well then why they realize that person, or then when they realize, that the person doing the acknowledgement or acknowledging isn't someone else but they themselves, that pointless journey can end. Humans who have ended that journey can probably spend the rest of their lives as they wish, with their heads held high. How noble, how praiseworthy that would be.
天草ってさ、親とはかなり仲が悪いらしいのよ。そりゃそうよね。まっとうな親なら足を洗わせたいと願うような商売だもの。
別にいいんじゃない？本人が楽しいなら。
まったくよね。結局はそういうことなのよ。他人が観測した自分の評価なんかどうでもいいこと。自分の存在を自分自身がしっかり認められたならそれで十分なのよ。自分に自信を持って生きられるならどんな生活だって受け入れて納得できるに違いない。天草はきっといつか戦場で流れ弾を食らって大怪我をするでしょうよ。あるいは死ぬことさえあるかもしれない。でも天草はそれを理不尽とは思わないと思う。それも人生と。あいつはケラケラ笑ってるような気がするの。
いい生き様じゃない。惚れるわ。
自分で自分を認められない哀れな人間は生涯それを求めてさまよい、何も受け入れられず不平不満だけを口にし満たされないまま死んでいく。
I wonder. That kind of makes me think of Kinzo a little bit for some reason. I don't know if he's necessarily not acknowledging himself, but he's in a constant search for something that he can't reach. He cannot find acceptance, and therefore he's just kind of like running to the end of his life, kind of, just pitiful, really.
哀れだわ。
I would say sad.
何の目的もなくダラダラと生きてる連中に比べたらやがてのたれ死にするかもしれないけれど、自分の人生に胸を張っている天草の方がよっぽど高潔なのよ。
人生悟ったものの勝ちってことじゃない？少しでも早く悟れればその分有効に残りの人生が過ごせてお得よね。
With Mamoon's words, I finally accepted a certain fact. In the past, I've called that girl unusual, a little strange. However, that wasn't true. All she did was keep her head held high and finish that journey faster than anyone else.
だからマリアお姉ちゃんはすごかったのかもしれない。彼女は小学校低学年になるかならないかという年齢のうちにそれに至ったのよ。
I mean, she was a very interesting character, or is an interesting character. I don't know what tense to use here, but no, like she was, satisfied and all that with herself as she was. She wasn't searching for anybody else's acknowledgement. She didn't seek out real friends. For people like us, looking at her life from the outside, it wasn't something we'd call blessed. But even though days like that were engraved in her diary, they always finished up by saying that that was a happy day. Even though the part of her mother that didn't love her daughter came and went, she believed that her mother loved her. The mother's love that didn't exist, she created herself, filling her world with love. Others might observe her as an unsatisfied, pitiful girl, but she herself acknowledged that she was satisfied, and so that she was happy that way. It's easy to observe that as something pitiable and sad, but to her, that was an outsider's opinion, so it didn't matter. Whether or not it was happy for her was the only important thing. It's just like how when people who live in the city point to the lifestyles of those in rural areas and mourn their inconvenience and feel sympathy for them, it's really none of their business. I actually can kind of relate with all that on both sides. If those who live there are satisfied with what they have, that's more than enough.
私ようやく気づいたわ。今気づいた。マリアお姉ちゃんにひどいことをしたのよ。あの日に。あなたたちにも作太郎にも。
Yeah.
魔法があるかないか、それを決めるのは他人じゃないわ。自分よ。マリアお姉ちゃんにとって魔法があるかないかはマリアお姉ちゃんが決めるべき問題で、私が決めることじゃない。
This really does bring in the topic of perspective, doesn't it?
なのに私は幼いあの日口にしてしまった。魔法なんてあるわけないって。彼女を傷つけてしまった。
The fact that magic doesn't exist in my eyes matters in my world. But denying it even in One-chan's world for that reason was totally misguided.
マリアージュ・ソルシエルはマリアお姉ちゃんの作った魔女同盟。私はそれに誘われて一緒に魔女になろうと言われたの。新しい面白い遊びだと思って私はしばらくの間それに付き合ったわ。でも幼さゆえの残酷さ、途中で飽きてしまった。そして鋭利な言葉で彼女の純粋無垢な心を切り裂いてしまったの。
So, that whole scene in the classroom where Ange was kind of like, you know, getting fed up with her classmates and was wanting them to die and then just kind of threw everybody away, like one by one. Was that fake? Was that just Maria's interpretation of Ange throwing away the ideas that she brought to her, inviting her to be a witch with her, to make friends and all that? Was that just a whole different like perspective on it all when it was really just two kids playing?
あの時大喧嘩をしたはず。私はすぐに
Or
忘れて
does
しまった
something
けれ
like
ど、
that happen later on?
彼女には忘れられないものだった。
Again, the timeline's a little fucky here, so
彼女にとって
I don't know
魔
what's
法
real
は
and what isn't.
確かに存在する自然な力で、それは私とも共有できると信じていたから。マリアお姉ちゃんにとって魔法は世界を幸福に解釈できる、いえ全てを幸福にできる、まさに魔法の力だった。それを私にもお裾分けしたかっただけ。その気持ちを幼い私が引き裂いた。だから彼女は誰とも魔法は分かり合えないと殻の中に閉じこもってしまったのよ。
だとしたらマリア卿もやはり人生の旅は終わってないわけね。自分に納得できてるなら園児様に否定されたくらいでへこむ必要なんてないわけだし。
お姉ちゃんは幼かった。天草みたいな達観にはまだ至ってなかったのよ。はあ、だからこそわかるわ。マリアージュ・ソルシエルという魔女同盟がなぜ必要なのか。
An alliance where each acknowledges that the other is a witch.
そうよ。それが確かマリアージュ・ソルシエルの取り決めの第一条だった気がする。同盟の魔女は互いを魔女と認め尊敬し合うことって、それこそが魔女同盟の一番の、そして唯一の意味なのよ。
Maria One-chan wanted to share with me the secret laws to make the world happy called magic, but I was young, and she was too. I hurt her with innocent cruelty.
私はあの日に言ったわ。暴言をあなたたちや作太郎に。存在するわけがないって。
失礼しちゃうわ。私たちが存在するって自らを認めてる。魂が寝ぼけてる人間どもとはわけが違うのよ。我を思うゆえに我あり。魔法を認めようと否定しようと、私たち煉獄の七姉妹という魔法が存在することはゆえに事実。園児様の言葉を借りるなら、
それを他者である私が否定するのはまさに暴力だわ。
That is a very twisted not in a bad way, but like a twisted thing to think about, where, okay, yeah, there is this character in front of Ange named Mamoon that she can interact with, and she exists because, well, she says she does. And yeah, it is messed up if another person denies your existence. If somebody went up to you and said, you do not exist, that wouldn't really go over for you really well, would it? Like, that's kind of fucked up. You think, therefore you exist, is a very interesting way to approach the idea of these characters who shouldn't really be able to exist whatsoever.
それはきっと実の母にお前なんか生まれてこなければよかったと。いいえ、消えてしまえと怒鳴。
No, I agree with that. Even after being slammed by all those words, Maria One-chan's magic made her believe in her mother's love. Sakutaro, her magic friend, always encouraged her. He kept saying that her mother loved her, that she was coming home late because of her work, and that she would definitely bring back a present. Even after Maria learned that her mother's work wasn't really the cause, magic allowed her to continue believing. Okay, so as we all saw in the previous video, and through all of these occurrences so far with Sakutaro, really this imaginary friend of hers, because that's really what it is. I know I'm denying the existence of somebody, oopsies, but that was the positive side of her, you know? It's like we all have a Jiminy Cricket, a conscience, right? We all have these different sides to us, and she kind of personified the positivity, the motivating, enthusiastic side of her true self. And when Sakutaro was kind of ripped up like that, and, you know, fucking thrown against a wall, and blood splatters were shown on the screen for some reason, that was kind of like the death of Maria having, like, a positive side, you know? To trying to see the good in what's so bad. And by believing that her mother loved her, by acknowledging herself, she filled her world with love and peace and serenity, establishing it completely.
12年前に何があったのか、私の家族がどうなったのか、それを探る旅じゃなかったのよ、これは。
ならこの旅は何なの？
Yeah, honestly.
マリアお姉ちゃんにあの日のことを謝る旅だったのよ。どうしてかわからないけど、そう思うの。あの日彼女を傷つけなければ12年前の事件は起こらなかったんじゃないかって。
No, I think it still would have occurred in some sort of way. But you can't really say that, really either side of it, unless you know what really went down.
そう思うの。
It is really hard to say. I have no basis for it. I don't have a clue how hurting One-chan could be connected with that mysterious incident several years later. But for some reason, I can't imagine that there's no connection. A witch caused that incident. And the culprit is the Golden Witch, Beatrice. And Beatrice was part of the Mariage Sorcière alliance of witches. I horribly hurt the other witch of that alliance. I hurt her with the thought that magic doesn't exist. So several years later, a crime caused by a witch occurred, and a 2-day period that couldn't be explained with anything but magic was thrust in my face, thanks to the message bottle.
きっと私は無関係じゃないのよ。わからない。偶然かもしれないし、運命かもしれない。なぜかこの旅で私はそう思うようになったわ。
根拠は？
ないわ。勝手にそう思ってるだけ。
日本人って面白いわね。被害者であっても自分に非があったように感じて勝手に謝り出す。家族を奪ったベアトリーチ様憎しって言うなら理解もできるけど、勝手に非を感じて謝りたくなってくるなんて本当に変わってるわ。
もちろんベアトリーチェは憎いわよ。その気持ちがなければこの旅は続かないわ。でも旅にもう一つ目的を見出してもいい。12年前の魔女に復讐する旅に、さらに昔の罪を謝罪する目的を加えたっていいんだわ。ロッケン島に行ってあの日の暴言を詫び、花を手向けることくらいはできる。
I mean, at least...
いえ、花よりもっといいものがあるわ。
Hold that thought, Ange. At least that is a form of self-acknowledgement in a way, you know? Like, again, we all have that Jiminy Cricket. We all have that conscience. We all feel guilt. We all feel bad, even in situations that aren't really our fault. But it puts you at peace, and it lets you move on.
そしてその方が お姉ちゃんにはふさわしいと思う。
I wouldn't even argue that it's selfishness, really. I stood up, not minding that the sea breeze scattered my hair, and concentrated my mind. I lifted my palm up to the height of my head and imagined a vast space.
エンジ様。
静かに。さあさあ、おいでなさい。我こそは魔女見習い、エンジェ・ベアトリーチェ。破門にされてはしまったけれど、かつて同じ同盟に所属し、私と遊んでくれた懐かしき家具よ。我が呼びかけに応じよ。
It was hard to tell in the middle of the day, but a faint blue light gathered around the palm of my hand. Then, Sakutaro's form was revived. Oh man, he's so fucking derpy looking. It truly did bring back memories, that figure. His cute ears, his bright red muffler. It came off easily, so One-chan faithfully rewrapped it all the time, didn't she?
サクタロ。
He's alive! Alright, I heard the chime. He is back. Okay, so on the witch side, he's dead. But on the Ange side, he's around, kinda. Okay, so Sakutaro. Maria One-chan's precious friend. Very simple, warm, and kind. His speech quirk is that stupid-ass noise. I remember Maria One-chan used to say it a lot, too.
わかる？私たちがわかる？おりょマモン、エンジェ。
It's weird. I thought the idea of him being revived in any sort of way was impossible. With a sleepy face, as though waking up from a long slumber, Sakutaro looked all around him as he spoke.
お久しぶりね、サクタロ。あなたを私の力で呼び出すのは、きっとこれが初めてだわ。そして今や、私にしか呼び出せない。
ウリュウ。
Those words might have been a bit cruel. Sakutaro's face clouded over.
かつての私は、あなたを否定した。その私があなたを呼び出したということは、あなたの存在を、私が認めたということ。
いいの？僕は、エンジェの世界に呼び出されてもいいの？
His eyes were a bit frightened. It was only natural. I, who had played with him like a friend before, had suddenly denied him and tried to burn him with the magic-resisting toxin. It was only natural that he was scared.
謝るわ。あの日のこと、マモンにも、そして、みんなにも。
Oh, hey everybody. At some point, the rest of the seven sisters had gathered on the deck. No, they're always there. Always by my side. As long as I acknowledge that it's okay for them to be there, they'll always appear.
あなたたちは確かに存在するわ。ルシファーも、レビアタンも、サタンも、ベルフェゴールも、マモンも、ベルゼブブも、アスモデウスも、そして、サクタロウも。
よろしいのですか？エンジェ様はベアトリーチェ様に挑もうというお方。魔女を否定される立場にあられるお方が我らを認めてもよろしいのですか？
Yeah, it is a bit contradictory, isn't it?
私の世界にとって魔法が存在するかどうかは悪いけど保留させてもらうわ。私自身が魔法の存在を認めたわけじゃない。
なのに我らを認めるという矛盾はどういうことです？
魔法は信じる人には存在するってことよ。私が信じなくても誰かが信じたならその人の世界には魔法が存在するわ。それは私が魔法を信じたって信じなくたって何の干渉も受けない。いいえ、受けてはいけないのよ。その誰かは胸を張って自らの魔法を信じればいいのよ。そして私はそれを認める。だからあなたたちが存在しても全然おかしくはないのよ。
なかなかの詭弁ですが面白い解釈かと。エンジェ様のそれは悪魔の証明そのものでしょう。
悪魔の証明？
だって悪魔の存在を証明するには悪魔を連れてくればいいけれど、悪魔の存在を否定することだけは不可能だから。
little backwards than what I was expecting, but alright.
そして私たちはここにいる。つまり
But
そ
I
れは
guess it works.
エンジェ様が魔法を信じようと信じまいと、私たちの存在は揺るがないということ。
無流エンジから半魔法の毒が消えていく。
本当だわ。魔法を否定する立場なのに、どうして？
それは多分尊重し認めるという心を知ったからだわ。今の私にならそしてベアトリーチェの魔法の深淵も理解できるかもしれない。
In the past, I didn't believe in things like magic. Thinking something like that couldn't exist, I acted like I was closing my eyes tightly and couldn't see anything. But now I'm different. I get the feeling I can look right at the thing called magic and close in on its true nature.
惜しいわ。この現代にこれだけ半魔法の毒素が抜けた人間なんて本当に稀よ。魔女に向いた稀有な才能なのに。
そうね。今のエンジェ様が魔女を目指してくださったなら、ベアトリーチェ様に及ぶかもしれない大魔女に成長されたかもしれないのに。
それでも我らの存在を認めてくださった我らの主である。おそらくエンジェ様が我らの最後の主となるだろう。最後の奉公と思い尽力しようではないか。
Oh, hell yeah.
なのにエンジェ様自身がまだ魔法を信じてくれないのが納得いかない。エンジェ様、ついでに魔法も認めてくださいよ。
No, no, that'll kind of negate a lot of things here.
魔女じゃないなんてなんだかもったいない。
最高の魔女になれる逸材なのに、その目的が魔女を撃つことだなんて。惜しいです。まあそれもエンジェ様の人生で生き方で、そうと決めた世界ならば、それは私たちにとやかく口出しできることではないわけですが。
私を理解してくれてありがとう。そうね、魔法が私にとって存在するかどうか、それは私が決めることだわ。世界のどこかに魔法が実在したとしてもしなかったとしてもね。
When I think about it, this world is so vast and yet so small. Billions of people live on the earth, but I probably won't meet even 1% of those people. Even so, I will speak of a world, my world, which doesn't know even 1% of the world.
私が知らない世界の法則を私に否定する資格なんてない。だから私の世界に魔法が存在しないからといって、私の知らない世界に魔法が存在することまでを否定することはできない。
I feel like this could be applied to a lot of things in the real world. Like, I know religion is a huge one. A lot of people really do, reject religion, but you can kind of apply that here. There's just so much we don't know. You could even throw it towards science. There's still so much that is being discovered, so much that still can't be comprehended, or like the comprehension behind it is just, it's not there yet with a whole lot of things.
まさに悪魔の証明というわけだわ。
In the real world, there's a lot of devil's proofs.
いえ、業に入りては業に従えというべきかしら。
I can be confident in the world I know, so even if that's denied by a complete stranger who doesn't know a thing about my world, that's nothing to worry about. And in the same way, I've got no right to deny a world I don't know, just because I don't know about it.
だから私は自分の世界に魔法があるかないかを問わずに、マリアお姉ちゃんが教えてくれた魔法を否定することなんてできやしない。
無理だって見たことがなくても魔法は存在するんだもん。
ええ、だからすでに言っている通り、魔女同盟マリアージュ・ソルシエルの友人である私にも、そして誰にも否定することなんてできないわけ。
I proclaim that most important part again. Even though the sea breeze and the crashing of the waves were noisy, it was a time of silence. Both Sakutaro and the Seven Sisters of Purgatory reflected upon my words. And probably I did too. Does magic exist? Do witches exist? While ignoring what the answer would be for my own world, I acknowledge their existence. That contradiction was what I'd proclaimed so boldly.
ありがとうエンジェ。
そこまでお認めになったなら魔女もお認めになって。いえ、愚問でした。
It was.
その問いに対する答えをすでにエンジェ様は明確にお持ちだ。
ごめんね。魔女がこの世界のどこかにいるかもしれないことを。でも私の世界は揺るがない。
魔女も魔法も認めないロッケン島の真実は必ず暴いてみせるでしょ。
ええ、それが私の世界よ。仮に本当に魔女が存在したとしても私の世界では認めないわ。当の魔女にどれだけ言い寄られたとしてもね。
エンジェ様のお立場は魔女を撃つこと、そしてそのお気持ちにいささかの揺らぎもないこと、よくわかりました。我らはエンジェ様の家具、煉獄の七姉妹、いつでもおそばに。お役に立てる日が来るのをいつまでもお待ち申し上げております。
エンジェ様が魔法を信じてくれない以上、話し相手くらいにしかなれないけれど。
今は十分よ。私たちに存在できる余地を残してくださった。それだけで私たちはエンジェ様に感謝し。
Yeah, however we want to interpret all this, whether these are just the many voices within Ange's head that allow her to think clearly and try to figure things out, or whatever. Either way, it's good to have.
つまり私たちはまたみんなといられるんだね。うりゅう、サク太郎、モフモフさせて。
When Sakutaro was overcome with emotion and tears came to his eyes, the seven sisters closed in and mobbed him. And they were also celebrating a long-missed reunion. If their existence is permitted, then they're definitely capable of existing here. No, even if I don't permit it, they can exist. Because I acknowledge them. They showed the reunion's joy to me as well. As I watched over that scene, I reflected over what this journey of mine meant. Well, this was an interesting moment here on the boat.
みんなには許してもらえたかしら。
And we're still not to our fucking destination.
十分ですよ。私たちは家具呼び出してもらえるだけで、おそばにいることを許されるだけで嬉しいのですから。
ウリュウ、エンジェ、本当にありがとう。
そういえばどうして私にはサク太郎が呼び出せたのかしら。
Yeah, honestly, that should have been impossible given
逆ね。
the things that Beatrice
どう
said.
してお姉ちゃんにはサク太郎が呼び出せなかったのかしら。
Maria One-chan had despaired, thinking that Sakutaro had died, which meant that she hadn't been able to summon him like this anymore. In the past, One-chan said it was more advantageous in a summoning to have a vessel. However, a vessel is like training wheels, and it shouldn't be absolutely necessary. In other words, even if the stuffed animal lion that was Sakutaro's vessel didn't exist, it should have been possible to summon him. Little mistake there. No, when you put it like that, it's even a little doubtful whether summoned things can be limited by life and death. Moreover, Sakutaro should have been an especially important friend to Maria One-chan. She should have been able to strive hard to summon him one more time. It certainly was sad that the original stuffed animal vessel had been torn apart, but why did he die and become impossible to summon again? I don't know.
それ
There's a
は
lot of questions with this
マリア
shit.
があの時僕のぬいぐるみが破れたのを見て、僕が死んでしまったと決めてしまったから。
魔法の存在と
Her perspective was basically that.
マリア教の世界で
It's all about
サク太郎
perspective.
が死んでしまったことになったなら、彼女の世界ではサク太郎は存在できない。
ウリュウ、
The shock of having her beloved stuffed animal torn apart had left a wound in her heart serious enough to prevent her from summoning her irreplaceable close friend. In Maria One-chan's eyes, Sakutaro had died. So even if Sakutaro can exist like this to me, he cannot exist before her.
僕はいつもマリアと一緒にいたんだよ。泣いてるマリアのすぐ近くで。泣かないでってずっと言ってたんだよ。でも
It's getting a little dark and cloudy out all of a sudden, by the way.
僕の姿も声も
Sakutaro hung his head looking sad.
マリアージュ・ソルシエルはあの事件の後急に性格を変えていくの。それまでの同盟は和やかなものだった。でも事件後は憎い誰かをいかにして呪うかという物騒なものばかり。お姉ちゃんの日記はあからさまに様変わりしていくの。
A diary is a mirror that reflects one's heart as it is. It probably showed the personality called Maria die and be reborn as the evil witch personality, Maria. When she buried that diary in hatred and sadness, her heart surely wasn't satisfied. Because it wasn't satisfied, she had to bury it with hatred and sadness. And while still unsatisfied, she met with death. I wonder if her unsatisfied soul had has a hole opened in his chest from sadness even now, and continually wanders, dripping tears down and calling Sakutaro's name.
あなたがお姉ちゃんには必要なのよ。
ウリュウ
どうしたらあなたをマリアお姉ちゃんの世界で蘇らせられるの？その方法がわかれば、私はお姉ちゃんを救うことができる。それが私に課せられた贖罪の方法なのよ。どうすればサク太郎は蘇るの？
マリアにとって僕のよりしろは特に重要な意味を持ってたから。
よりしろ、つまりライオンのぬいぐるみを蘇らせることができれば。
でも僕のぬいぐるみはローザママの手作りだから、ローザママにしか作れない。
Even inside the diary, Maria One-chan had asked this of Beatrice and was refused for that reason. The magical significance of a stuffed animal being unique and handmade is very large. Then, if we could, make the same thing once more, but Aunt Rosa is already gone from this world. We can't make the same thing again.
同じぬいぐるみをもう一つ作ってあったとか、そういうことはないの？
彼はマリア卿の誕生日プレゼントのために作られた世界でたった一つのぬいぐるみ、手作りでたった一つのよりしろなんです。だから大きな魔力を秘めているんです。そして失われたらもう二度と手に入らない、蘇らない。ウリュウ。
Because she knew that, Maria One-chan watched that stuffed animal, which was unique in that world, get torn apart, and despaired. Because it was the only one of its kind in the world, and she couldn't permit a compromise such as buying another one. She had despaired from the bottom of her heart.
でも、サク太郎はここにいるわ。よりしろなんかなくても、ここにいる。私がそれを認めているから、私の世界では確かに存在する。マリアお姉ちゃんが認めなくても、それは否定できない。そうよね。
理屈ではそうですが、同じ理屈でマリア卿にそれを認めさせることもまた困難かと思います。マリア、僕は死んでないよ。ここにいるのに。ウリュウ。
きっとロッケン島でマリアお姉ちゃんに私は再会できると思うの。そして私は何が何でもお姉ちゃんの中のあなたを蘇らせて再会させるわ。
できるの？
難しいでしょうね。魔女同盟に誘われた私が意味を理解できず拒絶してしまったのと同じように、彼女もまたあなたの存在を拒絶するかもしれない。でもやるしかないわ。それが私にできる唯一の罪滅ぼしなのよ。
エンジ様。
ロッケン島で何が待つのか。
Oh, I wonder. I'm actually kind of curious for that. Exploring that abandoned island.
そして何が起こるのか、何ができるのか、あるいは何も起こらないのかもしれないけれど、全ての始まりであるあの島こそがこの旅の終着点なのよ。私はあなたたちを連れて魔女の家具であるあなたたちの主として魔女の島へ、ロッケン島へ帰らなければならない。
Oh boy. Oh boy. Even though the rays of the sun had been so strong, at some point clouds had started to hang down. Even I noticed. The spray that hit my cheek might not have all come from crashing waves.
エンジェさん、軽く一雨来そうですぜ。下へ降りた方がいいんじゃないですか?
Amakusa called out to me with an expression that said, "Oh, you're still here." When I looked up, I saw that the island's silhouette had gotten much larger. We might reach land very soon. I remembered that the weather report had mentioned scattered rains. The sky wasn't dark enough for rain clouds. It'll probably be just for a short time. Even though the rain was light enough not to be a pain, having rain start to fall as we approached the island felt like some kind of fate. It was raining on October 4th, 1986 as well. I'm approaching the Rokkenjima of that day, and not just in distance. I went back down with Amakusa. He was carrying what looked like a really large and heavy golf bag. It was something Amakusa had brought back with him on a day when we'd split up. I didn't inquire as to its contents, but it was hard to imagine that they were anything peaceful.
中身はあえて聞かないけど、重そうね。
どうしてこいつらは重くてかなわないのか。フランス人の教官が面白いことを教えてくれました。何でもこいつらは重くあるべきだそうなんです。何しろ人の命は地球より重いんですから、こいつらはもっと重くて叱るべきなんだとか。
使う機会がないといいわね。
ないといいですな。
Amakusa set the golf bag like luggage down beside him. Guys, I don't think there's golf clubs in there. I think there's a GUN in there. Maybe multiple, I don't know. So are we going to Rokkenjima? Or, okay, wait, no, we were going to the airport, okay. The two propeller aircraft touched down on the runway. Considering the weather, it couldn't have been a pleasant flight. Everything after this flight had been suspended due to weather. Hello. Cutting through the drizzle as she traversed the runway, Sumadera Kasumi entered the lobby with two black suits as guards. The four black suits who had been waiting inside the lobby stood up and respectfully lowered their heads in salute.
お疲れ様です。
プロペラ機ってのは揺れるわね。二度と乗りたくないわ。
お車を用意しております。どうぞこちらへ。
They got into two luxury cars that had been rented.
エンジェはロッケン島へ向かうはずよ。
Okay, yeah, she is just heading straight to Rokkenjima.
無人島とは実に都合がいいわね。お道具は用意できてるんでしょうね。
Oh man, we are gonna have a fucking war going on. The black suit in the passenger seat put a heavy bag that had been set by his feet onto his lap, opened the catch with a click, and showed Kasumi what was inside. Inside were several silver lumps of carefully wrapped aluminum foil. He peeled one open to show her. A black, blunt automatic pistol peeked its face out. Where are these people getting the guns, honestly? Oh boy. Guys, things are about to go down, but it looks like... Yep, we're headed back to the game. We're headed back to the fun. The problem is, I don't even remember what the fuck was going on at this shit. Honestly. Like, I know some things have gone down. I just don't remember in what way. I know Kirie had stepped up to the plate, and she was... Man, she was showing her stuff, honestly, and in a good way. No, she really stepped up. It was already approaching 10 at night. By now, the typhoon had wrapped itself around Rokkenjima. Even the rose garden that looked so beautiful midday was beaten down upon by the fierce winds and resisted with all of its might, undulating, whatever that word is, and trying to keep the flowers from blowing away. In that rose garden was Shannon in the lead, Battler holding up an umbrella, Jessica and George carrying the sleeping Maria on his back, all heading for the guest house.
ゲストハウスくらい俺たちだけでも行けるってのにいいんだぜシャノンちゃん戻って休んでてくれよ
いいえお送りするのも仕事ですので
親族会議中は
うちの母さんとか源氏さんもピリピリしてるからな。下手に私たちが気を利かせるとシャノンがサボってると勘違いされちゃう。
そうだね。素直にお世話になった方がむしろ迷惑をかけないだろうね。ありがとうシャノン。
いいえ、確かにお嬢様のおっしゃられます通り、今日のお屋敷はピリピリしています。だから私も皆さんとご一緒して外の空気が吸えるのでちょっと肩が楽です。
親族会議か。わざわざ俺たち子供を追い出すくらいだから相当タチの悪い話をするんだろうぜ。
Oh yeah, they're talking about some wacky shit in there.
だろうね。
Possibility of Kinzo actually currently being dead.
僕たちはきっと何の力にもなれない。
But he's supposedly coming down, if I recall.
せめて邪魔をしないようにするのが一番の協力だと思うよ。
どうせまた金って話だろうぜ。
Yeah, a bit.
普段散々金持ちだと吹聴してるくせに、いざとなったらもったいぶりやがる。パーッと気前よくみんなで山分けすりゃいいのによ。
そりゃ豪快な話だぜ。俺にも分け前がもらえりゃいいのによ。もし俺にももらえたらそん時はシャノンちゃんにも分けてやるからな。
どうもありがとうございます。お気持ちだけで嬉しいです。
シャノンは欲がないね。年頃の女の子なら買いたいものがいっぱいあるだろうに。
そうですね。でも私欲しいものの中にお金で買えるものがありませんので。
As she looks deeply into George's eyes, sending that very, very obvious message.
無欲だな。俺なんか欲しいもん全部並べたら金がいくらあっても足りねえぜ。
お金で買えるものにはだぜ。シャノンの言う金で買えない欲しいものって何かな。ジョージ兄さんは心当たりある？
Man, that's fucked up, Jessica. Come on.
さあ、なんだろうね。シャノンじゃないとわからないね。
私にもわかりません。
You guys are poor ass liars. George and Shannon looked down, their faces red. Battler had also heard about what was going on with him, so he knew what Jessica was teasing them about.
ジョージの兄貴は俺にとっても尊敬できるお人だ。
Yeah, I like George.
シャノンちゃんは本当にいい人と巡り会えたと思うぜ。
だな。私もジョージ兄さんなら安心してシャノンを任せられるぜ。
からかうのはよしてくれよ。僕たちにとっては真面目な問題なんだ。それよりジェシカちゃんの方だってどうなんだい？カノン君と少しは仲良くなれたのかい？
Damn, turning the tables.
お前カノン君とそういう仲なのかよ。
Yeah, Battler, you've kind of been left out here.
汚いぜジョージ兄さん。そういう話の切り返し方は汚いぜ。
Ah, family bonding. You gotta love it. As they had an animated discussion with ups and downs, the four kids headed for the guest house. The annual family conference was extremely important to the Ushiromiya family, and this year seemed like it was going to be especially important. Apparently, the family head Kinzo was personally going to be making a very serious announcement, and everyone other than the adults had been strictly ordered to leave. Battler hadn't attended the family conference in 6 years, so he didn't really notice. But according to Jessica, there seemed to be a very tense atmosphere tonight, completely different from a normal year. Common sense made it clear that Kinzo, whose remaining life was short, was going to make some big announcement about the succession of the headship and the distribution of his fortune.
しかし驚いたな。
I'm always surprised, but we're going to be wrapping it up here. That's all the time I've got on this one. Alrighty, we're in chapter 11. We are making some progress here. It kind of feels like I'm not because of how, spread out I've been doing this episode. I've just been ridiculously busy, but we are making progress. Whether or not we finish this episode this year is beyond me, but damn, I'm going to try. But, alright, we're back at it. We're finally back into the fun that is the family dying over the course of 2 days. I guess you could argue it's just one long-ass day, but They're trapped on the island for 2 days. You guys get what I mean. But anyways, thank you all for coming out and watching this one. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. And I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.